The author once compared life to a river. It appears to flow peacefully, quietly, yet beneath its surface lie treacherous undercurrents. Behind a seemingly serene life, everyone encounters their fair share of storms and hardships. Behind a life that seems utterly normal, there are often unresolvable pains and unspeakable sorrows hidden deep within. How can we successfully navigate life's hidden currents and reach the shores of happiness? And how can we overcome the psychological ailments prevalent in modern society? Through countless clinical treatment cases, Robert DeBoard wove them into the story of Mr. Toad in this renowned psychology book, detailing a person's journey from depression to recovery, rediscovering faith and the joy of living. The book, Toad Goes to See a Therapist *, with a title that sounds like a children's book, is actually a deeply profound psychological healing program for adults. This book has been published for over 20 years and has become a national introductory text on psychological counseling in the UK. Its brilliance lies in allowing you to follow Mr. Toad's journey, thus gaining an authentic experience of every detail of the psychological counseling process, completing a self-healing session for yourself. When you read this book, you'll understand that on the long river of life, there's no one to steer your boat. The only person who can take you across is yourself. In reality, time alone cannot heal all wounds. Only by truly understanding your inner self can you overcome that suffering. Everyone carries wounds in their heart. In everyone's eyes, Mr. Toad was a wealthy, refined, and dashing toad. He lived in a mansion, drove a car, and was the headmaster of a school. He didn't smoke, occasionally enjoyed a drink, and lived a free, joyful life. But as people often say, everything in this world hides a grievance. Though seemingly optimistic, his inner self was riddled with scars throughout his life's journey. He grew up in a joyless family. His father was rigid and strict, while his mother was weak and helpless. Toad never felt love or warmth from his parents. Instead, there was only criticism and indifference. From being sent to a private school at 7 to choosing his major in university, then inheriting the family business after graduation, every step in Toad's life was decided by others. Toad appeared successful, but in reality, he was an outsider in his own life, only knowing how to bury his pain deep within. And as he grew up, his living environment and family circumstances shaped Toad's sensitive personality. This continued to torment his inner self. He racked his brains and poured himself into managing the business his father left behind, yet people only spoke of the glorious achievements of his predecessors, completely ignoring the effort Toad had put in. To gain recognition, Toad tried to please them, but in return, he only received criticism. To appear sociable, Toad even pretended to be an authentic hippie and lived as a source of amusement for others. However, even by sacrificing himself, Toad couldn't win the affection of others. Such trivial matters were like a knife carving into the existing scars in Toad's heart. Stuck in life's difficult circumstances, Toad sought solace in alcohol, but the result was only to sink him deeper into the mire. After a drunken spree, Toad stole a car, became rebellious, robbed people, stole money, roamed everywhere, and eventually ended up in jail. And upon his release, the last defensive armor in Toad's heart crumbled. Toad suffered from depression. His house was occupied by others, and his beloved position as headmaster was taken by a close friend. The dashing Toad of yesterday was now a haggard Toad. Toad began to suffer from insomnia, drank more, dressed sloppily, and spent all day sprawled on the sofa, as if falling into an abyss, sobbing pitifully in the middle of the night with 1,000 reasons for sorrow in his heart. Perhaps everyone has glimpsed the shadow of times they tried their best to work, but fate always tripped them up, rendering all efforts futile. You strived for recognition, to please others, but in return received ingratitude, and sometimes even exploitation. When you needed someone by your side, even your closest confidant might utter unkind words and have a poor opinion of you, leaving you to swallow bitterness. Someone once said something profoundly true: no one in this world is unwounded. Everyone carries their scars as they move forward. Everyone eventually has to cross mountains and rivers alone. However, when sad, you can allow yourself to pause, but you cannot let yourself fall. No matter how difficult the path ahead, from the depths of our hearts, we still yearn for inner self-healing. Instead of waiting to be cured, it's better to learn how to heal yourself. As the late writer Yang Jiang, with her 105 years of life experience, reminded us, no one in this world is unwounded. Always believe that the only person who can truly heal your wounds is yourself. Don't resent, don't fear loneliness. Strive to build yourself up, for life is a border of suffering, and only you can cross it alone. May the mountains and rivers within you be magnificent, and always believe that this world is worth living in. The only person who can help you in this world is yourself, and the only condition for change is to understand yourself. After Toad's complete breakdown and suicidal thoughts, fortunately, his friend Water Rat intervened in time and introduced him to a therapist. This is how Toad came to see Mr. Heron. The first time they met, Mr. Heron asked, "Who referred you here?" Toad unhesitatingly replied, "Water Rat." But Mr. Heron shook his head and said, "The only person who can make you come here is yourself." At first, Toad was annoyed by this foolish question, but after calming down, he suddenly understood something. He alone was responsible for his own life and could not expect others to save him. In fact, during the consultations, Mr. Heron primarily asked 3 questions for Toad to analyze the reasons himself. What do you think about this issue? How do you feel? And what will you do? Not a single piece of advice on what Toad should do. All Mr. Heron wanted to convey to Toad was that whether or not to reconcile with life was his decision. With Mr. Heron's encouragement, Toad finally took the courageous first step. Toad forced himself to wake early, walk along the garden path, repair the long-abandoned boat, and paddle it joyfully himself. Toad patiently observed a blade of grass by the roadside and felt the marvel of colors in nature. Gradually, Toad accepted his painful past and began to consciously pay attention to his emotions. Toad learned to refuse unfriendly people, stopped seeking approval and validation from others, and shed the burdens imposed by society, feeling lighter within. In the Shang prison, there is a very true saying, "Every person is their own god. If you abandon yourself, who else can save you?" Life is full of suffering. If you want to overcome suffering and heal your scars, ultimately, you can only rely on yourself. As Mr. Heron said, no matter how good the psychological consultation, it all depends on the patient's willingness. The healing process is all about finding the answers within yourself. Adults suffer because they are not in an adult state. During Toad's consultations, Mr. Heron pointed out that a person's life is divided into 3 ego states. First, the child ego state. When a person is in this state, they will react unconsciously through habits formed in childhood. Both their emotional expressions and behaviors reflect the image of the child in their past. In this state, they will follow instincts and depend on others. They will recreate past scenarios, experiencing previously suppressed painful emotions. This is why they won't learn anything new. The second state is the parent ego state. People in this state often criticize others and also frequently blame themselves. They will use language and behavior to repeat the values, both right and wrong, learned from their own parents. At the same time, they will try to make others accept their way of thinking. They might even turn their judgments inward and engage in self-criticism. Finally, there is the adult ego state. Only in this state can we escape the control of emotions. A person living in the adult ego state can make rational considerations, decisions, thoughts, and actions. This is the only state of being that allows a person to be willing to change themselves and learn new things. Because if you are in the child ego state, you will only experience past emotions, and if you are in the parent ego state, you will live in selectivity and lecturing others. Both of these states will prevent you from escaping your problematic reality. Therefore, as humans, we must learn to adjust our ego back to its proper state. So, how can we make this adjustment? In reality, we must return to the very first point I presented, which is self-awareness. You need to continuously ponder who you are, where you come from, where you are going, and how you can get there. Returning to Toad's story. After taking the first step, courageously facing his past and his true emotions, Mr. Toad analyzed that he came from a prestigious family, yet he himself didn't truly feel happy. Toad's father often criticized and reprimanded him, while his mother, under his father's authority, always followed his words. Toad was rarely hugged or comforted by his mother. To gain his parents' love, young Toad always tried to be obedient, please them, apologize, and rely on them, gradually developing a dependent and people-pleasing personality. This personality made Toad live a life of dependence. As a child, he depended on his parents. As an adult, he depended on external validation. Once he received a negative reaction from the outside, Toad would choose either to please others or to criticize himself and endure it. Because of this, Toad never truly matured, allowing his inner self to be harmed, ultimately suffering from depression. Osho's book *Love states, psychologists believe that in the first 4 years of life, a child's personality is almost fully formed. By the 7th year, the child's entire attitude, perspectives, and ego are determined. And with this personality pattern, it will repeat in various situations throughout the rest of their life. Therefore, how parents treat their child during the early years is truly crucial. Adult behavioral habits are all learned by children during childhood and subtly affect each person's life. It is said that happy people use their childhood to heal their lives, while unhappy people use their lives to heal their childhood. Whether you are happy or not, whether you want to or not, life cannot be repeated, and we cannot choose our parents. If you are a parent, pay attention to how you treat your child. And if you are an adult who has been hurt, learn to face yourself. True maturity is making peace with the past. Forgive others, forgive your parents, forgive the imperfections in our lives. Instead of constantly seeking external validation, reliving past emotions, scrutinizing and complaining about others' behaviors, it's best to look into your own heart. This is the true way to let go of dependence on the past and live for the present, becoming a mature and independent adult. 4 life coordinates determine who you become. Mr. Heron always asked Toad 2 questions. One for Toad himself: how do you see yourself? Are you okay? The second for others: how do you see others? How are they? Answering these 2 questions will help you know which coordinate you are at. Coordinate 1: you are good, I am not good. If you are at this coordinate, you will think of yourself as a victim of life, unable to control your own destiny. This will give rise to feelings such as anxiety, depression, and self-blame. Coordinate 2: I am good, you are not good. People at this coordinate often want to hold authority. They often attack and criticize others. That's why they are prone to indignation, anger, or scrutiny and blame towards others. Coordinate 3: I am not good, you are not good. People at this coordinate will be both arrogant and self-deprecating, capable of attacking others while also belittling themselves. Their emotions are as unpredictable as the weather, and they are prone to antisocial behaviors. Coordinate 4: you are good, I am good. This is the healthiest state of being. You believe you are good, and you believe others are good too. With such a belief, your actions and attitudes lead you to treat others and yourself with genuine kindness. In his final consultation, Mr. Toad abandoned his previous obsession with cars and chose to cycle to Mr. Heron's place. Toad began to admire the scenery along the way, listened to the rhythm of nature, and felt incredibly happy, both physically and mentally. Toad gave himself 9 points on the emotional thermometer and reset his life's coordinates to, I am good, you are good. Because at this point, Toad had enough sense of security within, trusting his own growth and abilities. At the same time, Toad also valued the strengths of others, thus enabling cooperation and mutual encouragement. Mr. Heron called this process symbiosis, meaning accepting oneself and embracing others, connecting effectively and developing together. This symbiosis manifests as empathy, but to empathize with others, you must first know how to love yourself. Your relationship with yourself determines your relationship with others. Only a person with love in their heart has the capacity to spread love. Only those who love themselves and continuously strive for self-improvement can become a guiding light for others. Psychologist Carl Jung once stated that there is no awakening without pain. Instead of wallowing in sorrow, it is best to face your own wounds, stop running, hiding, and denying them. Thank this pain, thank these difficult circumstances, for they have given you opportunities, given you lessons to grow in this life. Let your true self be freed from the chains of the past. Darkness can only be illuminated by those willing to step out. If you are on the path of self-healing, now is the time to take that first step. Face the past, see what state of being you are in, which coordinate you occupy, and the door to your own world, your true self matured in freedom, is always ready to welcome you. Life is impermanent. The past cannot be revisited, one's origins cannot be changed, parents cannot be chosen. We will always be vulnerable to hurt, we will be confused, we will lose our way, but don't be discouraged, don't lose hope. As long as we breathe, everything can change. May both you and I become our own strongest power.